Hello and welcome to our watercolor journey. Today Heinrich is going to show you how to paint this beautiful sunset field using stencil brushes and the bouquet effect. The reference picture is in the description below, and the brushes and the paints are also in the description below. Keep your paper flat and make sure that you mask out the sun with a little bit of masking fluid. Sun is towards the bottom of the page, so make sure that you do that. And then also make sure that you wet the paper thoroughly. He's starting off with Moon Glow, and it's a fairly light mixture, and he's painting it at the top with a flat brush. Then he's adding quinacridone red to give the variation in the sky. So all through this process, he is kind of mixing the colors, not cleaning his brush, using the same brush and just adding the colors as you go. The yellows to the bottom of the page for now, and the blues and reds to the top. On this side, he's adding the red to the yellow to give a nice orangey color. Make sure that you smooth it out, then it will look a lot more natural. Now he's adding Payne's Grey blue shade and a little bit more of the Moon Glow, so you can go wild. Add all your colors to the sky to give variation. The oranges that he used was made of the yellow and the red that he already has in the palette. He mixes that all the time just to give you a nice vibrant orange. Now he's adding the Payne's Grey blue in a wiggly motion to resemble the clouds. Payne's Grey black for the base of the painting or the ground area. And is using the silver black velvet with a little bit of sepia to start painting in the area where the grasses are going to be. And he is making basic shapes for the grasses. A stronger mix of the Payne's Grey black, and it's a very creamy mix because he's going to use that to start drawing out the grass. And for this he's using the Barbara Rigger #1. The rigger is really wet and the paint is still very wet, so he draws out the first layer of the grasses and he's pointing them around the sun because the sun there is actually the focus point of your painting. So they kind of frame the sun. He used a little bit of the red, Payne's Grey black, sepia, all those earthy, groundy colors to draw out the grass. Then he's adding Hansa Yellow Medium with the silver black velvet brush around the sun and a little bit of the orange that he made. Tilting it a little bit to let the paint spread, and then he added some clouds again to the top. Only add this extra layer of clouds if you want to, and if your paper is still wet. Otherwise it's going to make hard lines. Let your painting dry naturally. When your painting is dry, you're going to remove the masking fluid. You can use a rubber cement eraser or a plastic eraser, your fingers. Just make sure that all the masking fluid is off. Then he's using the stencil brushes to start making the bouquet effect. You can use a sponge or a normal brush, but the stencil brushes work very, very well. You wet the brush and then you make circular movements on the paper. Don't press too hard because you might damage the paper. Once you've made the circle, you can dab out the excess water with the tissue. This is quite a lengthy process, so take your time and clean the brush every now and again because it might transfer paint from the one area to the next. Now he's got some new stencil brushes, so you will notice that he's using all different kinds of brushes, smaller ones and bigger ones, and it actually helps to have the different sizes because then you can vary the circles that you make. And the circles really need to overlap. You can't make them stand alone because that's not what the bouquet effect looks like. They actually touch each other or they overlap constantly. He's adding a little bit of yellow to the sun, and that is just to bring a little bit more brightness to it so that it stands out amongst the reeds. He's also painting some of the bouquet circles that he made, again with some of the base paint that he used, just to bring variation in the circles. They shouldn't all be the same color because they reflect the color that is behind them. You don't want a really dark color, so paint it in and then dab it out again, very, very lightly. Some yellow circles just to give that expansion of the reflection of the sun. So make sure to dab it out again a little bit and give variety. It's very difficult to decide where you want to actually paint the extra circles. So use your imagination. What do you think it would look like and where can you put it? And if you've painted it in and you don't like it, then just dab it out again. Here he's using the stencil brush to go over some of the circles that he made so that he can just diffuse the edges, you know, so that they don't make hard edges, because the bouquet circles don't really have a lot of hard edges. So once you've made them, you can use the stencil brush to soften the edges again. Stencil brushes are actually wonderful to soften any kind of edges for that matter. Okay, so it's time to paint the grasses. He's using the Barbara Rigger here. It is such a beautiful, beautiful brush to use. It's got a very fine point and it holds a lot of water and a lot of paint. So he's using this to create the grasses and the little seed pods. And these have to be made very precisely, actually, because they are in the foreground. They are the focus point. So they should not be fuzzy or blurry. They should be really crisp because they are right in the foreground and they are the focus of your picture. Little seed pods with the tip of the brush. Just wiggle it around. You don't have to be precise, it's the illusion of it, but it shouldn't be blurry or fuzzy. Keep your brush strokes very, very light. The grasses are thin, so keep it as light as possible. A little bit of splattering always helps to give texture. Don't splatter too much. You don't want the splattering to overwhelm the picture. Now it's the new round of grasses. This time you make it a little bit more prominent. So you're building it up from the back. Your first layer was the very fuzzy layer where you had the wet on wet paint. Then you started painting the very thin tweaks, which are kind of in the middle ground. And now he is painting the grasses that are in the foreground, the foreground, if you can call it. And those are darker and a little bit thicker and a lot more prominent. With these grasses, you can press a little bit harder with the rigger at the bottom of the page where you started, very much like when you would paint a tree. Just press a little bit harder to give the brush the opportunity to make the line a bit thicker, and then lift it up as you go higher, because that will make the branch thinner or the grass a little bit thinner. And these grasses grow very much like little trees. So you can pull them out at random anywhere you want. They're basically supposed to fill the front of your picture without blocking out the sun completely. Use the side or the belly of the brush to make light strokes or brush strokes with a barbara, so that you can get that fuzzy kind of feeling of the seed pods. Tip of the brush to make the more prominent seed pods, and the side, the belly of the brush again, to help building them out. You can start by painting on the tape and then pulling it into the paper. It helps to kind of give the idea that the grass is growing from somewhere beneath. If you start right on top of the tape, it will sometimes just make prominent blobs on the edge of your painting. So when you remove the tape, then you have these blobs sitting at the bottom or on the sides. So start painting from the tape side. Okay, so he's adding a little bit more shadow at the bottom, using the silver black velvet again. And the shadow is really helping to make the sun stand out a bit more. as you can see, the yellows and the purples, everything is just popping the moment that he puts the shadow in at the bottom. And the shadow is never black. So use Payne's Gray, use your other colors, and just build that bottom shadow up with these different colors. The sun reflects all the colors that's in the earth. So if you add the browns and the blacks and the oranges, the reds, the yellows, then it will just make this beautiful reflection of a shadow and not give you this dead black area at the bottom. And here Heinrich is using the stencil brush, that little stencil brush that you just use to make the bouquets, to actually add some more foliage to the grasses. So a stencil brush is not only for stenciling. You can do a ton of things with it. And we are having another tutorial that will demonstrate how all these stencil brushes can be used. So look out for it. Okay, dabbing out some of the hard edges with a tissue. Because the paint is still fairly wet, it's easy to dab it out without damaging the paper. When you remove the tape from your painting, pull it at a 45-degree angle so as not to damage your paper. And if it gets stuck, you can blow it with a hairdryer at a warm setting. Blow on the tape so that it will soften the glue, and then you can take the tape off easily. It's a good idea to tape off your painting, because when you're done and you take it off, it really looks like the painting is already framed. It gives you this beautiful white border. And there we have it. A beautiful, beautiful sunset field. Thank you for joining us on our watercolor journey. Happy painting!